Welcome back into Joe Louis Arena for third period action of the Big Ten semifinal between the Michigan Wolverines and the Michigan State Spartans. Leo Blavin alongside Andrew Hausman getting you set for period number 3. Michigan on top 2-1. Andrew, what do we have to look forward to in the third from the Wolverines?
Well, I think the Wolverines know they're going to continue to keep attacking. They've been putting shots on net on Jake Hildebrand all game long, already with 38 shots through 2 periods. That's a crazy amount through 2 periods, almost 20 a period. It's similar number in that first period. They're going to keep pounding Hildebrand and really force Michigan State to play on their heels. They're looking to tie this one up. And as Michigan State tries to press forward, get the equalizer, Michigan will open up a few more opportunities.
Michigan wins the opening draw of the third period, and Alex Kyle fires a shot from center ice, gloved by Hildebrand, and he'll play it forward as the Spartans working from right to left in their road white with the green trim. Michigan in their blue uniforms with the maize piping. Out to the point, John Drager. He fires one behind the net. Spartans giving chase, keeping it in the zone. Drager again. Fires one well wide, trying to use these Joe Louis Arena boards, but Matt Berry couldn't get his stick on it. Now Michigan breaking the other way. Alex Kyle skating in with a lot of speed. Getting to the net, but not able to get the wood on it. Still loose in the crease, and now the Spartans will clear it out of danger. Shot in front of Hildebrand. Andrew Kopp getting tied up with Hildebrand. But now the Spartans will take it with Ron Boyd. Boyd plays it to Drager, now skating up ahead. Michael Ferrantino, the captain for the Spartans, gains the zone for Michigan State by dumping it as Ryan Keller gives chase with Zach Werenski battling behind the Michigan net. Now Lohan. Now Werenski skates onto the puck. Werenski plays it ahead off the board in the direction of Selman, who's upended, and Rhett Holland there. The Arizona Coyotes draft pick. Plays it to his defensive line mate, Carson Gatt. Joe Cox tries to dump it in the zone in the direction of Keller. Keller skates on it, dumps a pass to Josh Jacobs, but Jacobs couldn't get a lot of mustard on the shot.
Juicy rebound there.
Easy save.
Nice play by Zach Werenski to clear that out of the slot in a hurry.
Puck poked around in the neutral zone. Now skating onto it, Dylan Larkin. Larkin trying to get a wrister off, unable to do so. Rhett Holland blocking the shot. Holland settling things down. Good forecheck pressure by Dexter Danks. Now Booney Evans forcing Thomas Ebbing to make a decision. It's turned over in the Spartan zone. However, Ebbing gets the puck back. Ebbing upended and draws a penalty. Check that it was Darnell with the puck who drew the penalty, and Michigan's going to have to send someone to the box for 2 minutes for tripping, and it looks like they got Booney Evans.
Interesting call there. It looked like Darnell got a hold of Nieves' stick and then went down with it. Kind of looking like the call from earlier when there was both a hooking and then an embellishment, but we will not see an embellishment called here. And Spartans will get a power play coming up. They already scored once. Michigan needs to hold firm.
2-1 lead for the Wolverines with 17:51. Face-off win by the Wolverines as the penalty kill gets off to a good start for the Maize and Blue.
And that was something we didn't see all of last power play for the Spartans. Spartans had it in the Michigan zone the entire 2 minutes before finally breaking through and getting the tying goal.
Thomas Ebbing dumps it in the zone for the Spartans. However, Wolverines will again be able to clear it. Travis Lynch was the one dumping it, and Josh Jacobs couldn't get his mitt on it to keep it in the zone for Michigan State. They come back up with the puck. Matt DeBlau falls back to Josh Jacobs. To DeBlau. Across to Matt Berry. Down low to Mac Ekman. Now Berry. Mac Ekman. Spartans keeping it in the zone on this power play. 1 minute left to go on the power play for the Spartans. Mac Ekman in the right wing circle plays it back to Josh Jacobs. Jacobs across the zone, and it's a shot fired in by Carson Gatt, but nothing doing, and it's cleared again by the Wolverines, and they'll get fresh legs onto the ice.
Great save there by Steve Racine. It looked like it was deflected, but able to get his chest on it. Make a solid save.
40 seconds left to go in the Michigan State power play, trailing 2-1. Spartans gain the zone. A wrister shot fired, covered up by Steve Racine with the glove as the Spartans able to gain the zone and get another shot off face-off to come in the Michigan zone with 35 seconds left to go on the power play.
And what I'm seeing out of Steve Racine is a little more confidence than what we saw out of him his last time out. That was on the road series when Michigan was swept at Penn State. Steve Racine doing a great job getting his body in front of the shots, really squaring up. Great positioning so far tonight, instead of reaching for it with his glove or his stick.
Spartans win the faceoff. Boyd, Ferentino. Back to Boyd. Across to Joe Cox. Now Ferentino skates in and fires a wrister wide. Comfer onto it and will slash it off the boards to get it out of the zone. 15 to go on the Michigan penalty kill. Joe Cox skating into the zone. Now across to Darnell. Brent Darnell skating in. Settling things behind the Michigan net. A wrist shot fired by Keller, but it's blocked by Comfort. Comfort skating on with a lot of speed. He's got Nieves with him too. JT Comfort fires a wrister, gets it off weakly as Cox was able to deflect the shot, but Michigan back at full strength. Now a turnover. Dylan Larkin by himself behind the net will fire it into the crease area, but no one home for the Wolverines. Now Sinelli settles things down at center ice. He will dump it. Larkin skates onto it, fires one to Selman, one-timer. Denied by Hildebrand. Puck will fall all the way to the other end, and Racine forced to cover it up as good forecheck pressure caused by David Bondra to force the faceoff to come in the Michigan defensive zone with 15:18 left to go in the third period. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan hockey. Wolverines on top of the Spartans, 2-1.
Two nifty plays there by the freshman Dylan Larkin. He was all alone in the zone, but still able to get a shot on net. Tried a little crafty play, just trying to sneak it up to the upper corner. Didn't think Jake Hildebrand would be ready. As Jake Hildebrand is the Big Ten goaltender of the year and one of the top goalies in the country, he was ready for that little nifty play.
Wolverines win the faceoff in their own zone. Dexter Dank skating up across center ice. Chops it off to Mott, who fires a one-timer. And Mott shot denied by Hildebrand. Wolverines able to keep it in the zone with Nieves applying the pressure. John Drager now with it, plays it across to Brock Krieger behind the Spartans net. And now back to Drager. Wolverines continue to press with 15 minutes left to go and at the third period of this Big Ten tournament semifinal game between the Wolverines and Spartans. Krieger gains the zone and fires one into the chest of Racine, who covers it up with the glove. 14:45 left to go in the third. Michigan on top 2-1.
And another great stop there by Steve Racine. As I just mentioned, much more solid position than we saw through a lot of the year. Steve Racine finally healthy in that one. Even though he did catch it with his glove, he chested it down and was able to make a solid stop there. On the other end, Jake Hildebrand, last two shots by Michigan, have given up two big, juicy rebounds off of the chest of Jake Hildebrand. Normally see good rebound control, but perhaps the toll of 42 shots through just about 45 minutes of hockey action are taking the toll on Jake Hildebrand, and he's starting to give a few more rebounds. Michigan will have to capitalize on those opportunities.
Media timeout, so both teams will get a breather. What do the Spartans have to do to turn things around? They have now just 20 shots in the game to Michigan's 42. Trailing 2-1, certainly not an offensive-minded team, but the Spartans have to get something going to tie things up.
Yeah, they're going to need to start to take more chances, and that's going to open up things for Michigan. On the other end, Michigan already out shooting the Spartans in this period. And as you mentioned, just in that last round of play, they are still pressing, still sticking to their game plan. And I like that. Michigan is sticking to what they do best, which is an offensive-minded team, trying to really get that insurance goal, not just dropping back. Michigan knows they're a little bit weak on the defensive end. Steve Racine has done a solid job these past two nights, and they're going to continue to attack, try and get an insurance goal, rather than just allowing the Spartans to really come after them and sustain some pressure.
(2-1) the score with 3 minutes, with 14:45 left to go in the third period between Michigan and Michigan State. Wolverines on top. Michigan wins the faceoff in their own zone. Skating on is the captain, Andrew Kopp. Dumps it back to Alex Kyle. Kyle fires a wrister into the chest of Hildebrand, who covers it up.
And perhaps Red Berenson took notice of what we saw on that last TV timeout, making sure that to instruct his players to get to the net and look for those rebounds. Kopp was ready. If there had been a rebound on that shot, Hildebrand not held it, Kopp would have almost surely put that one away and given Michigan a 3-1 lead. Nonetheless, Hildebrand shows why he's such a good goaltender and held on to that rebound.
How big would a third goal be for the Wolverines?
Huge. I don't see the Spartans scoring 3 in this one.
Question's going to be, can the Wolverines get that all-important cushion goal? Face-off win by the Spartans in their own zone. Drager giving chase. Bodied up by Justin Selman. Good forecheck pressure. Forces the turnover. Cutler Martin gets it back at the Spartan blue line. Now plays it behind the net to Zach Hyman. Hyman so dangerous. Back to Martin. Martin from the left wing circle fired a shot, took a deflection, and now Mackenzie McEachron can skate ahead with it for the Spartans. McEachron fires a shot denied by Steve Racine. Now Martin plays it ahead to Hyman. Hyman leaves it off to his line mate Dylan Larkin. The Big Ten's best 1-2 offensive punch, trying to do damage here. Selman, Larkin across to Hyman. Hyman settles things, can't get the clean shot off. Good defensive play for the Spartans, and now they'll come back the other way. McEachron fires a shot in the glove of Racine, who covers it up, and then Selman blown up afterwards. McEachron now exchanging words with Brennan Serville with 13:40 left to go in the third period. Things starting to get physical between these two in-state rivals.
And that's what I was about to say. I was really surprised through the first 2.5 periods. There was not a lot of physicality. Sure, there was a few big hits now and then, but nothing more than you see in a typical hockey game. These teams are finally starting to realize that they are rivals, and it's time to rough each other up. We saw that in a lot of the earlier matchups this year, especially at Hockey City Classic in Chicago throughout the entire game. Here, they're just starting to get warmed up.
It was Josh Jacobs making the standout defensive play at the other end, not allowing the Hobie Baker Award finalist Zach Hyman to get a clean shot off.
Yeah, form tackle there by Jacobs. Just kind of got in that football stance, got a low tackle. Coach Mark D'Antonio would be proud of.
Face off in the Wolverines' defensive zone, won by the Spartans. Keller plays it behind the net to the captain, Ferrantino. Fires one into the crease. Joe Cox couldn't get a stick on it, but gets possession of the puck back. Plays it behind to Keller, who battles with Serville along the boards. Ferrantino also giving chase. Downing there, battling with Ferrantino. Ferrantino wins that battle. Tried to get a clean shot off. However, Tyler Mott was able to block the shot. Now comes away with the puck. Great play by Tyler Mott. Wolverines coming back the other way. Boot Nieves. Nieves trying to gain the zone. Dexter Danks skated onto it. Tried to leave it back for Tyler Mott. Mott couldn't get a shot off, and now bodies flying everywhere. The physicality continues here at the Joe with 12:55 left to go in the third period. Wolverines on top 2-1. Tyler Mott will simply dump it into the other end so he can get off the ice. Good forecheck pressure, though, as Kopp skates onto the puck. Andrew Kopp leaves it back to Orensky. Across to Lohan. Lohan playing it off the Joe Louis Arena boards. Got into the crease, but Hildebrand poked it forward. Now the Spartans break it. McEachron. Turnover as his pass was deflected, and it went to Andrew Kopp. Orensky skated onto it. However, John Drager came from behind to take it away and give the Spartans back possession. Finally won back by the Wolverines in the neutral zone as JT Comfort skates ahead with it. Comfort skates behind the Spartan net. Plays it to the point to Sinelli. Sinelli plays it behind the end boards. Werenski giving chase. Now Sinelli. Sinelli played it across and unable to get a clean stick on it was Hyman. Now at the point, Martin fires a shot deflected in front of the net. Dylan Larkin skates onto the rebound. Plays it across to Selman. Justin Selman plays it behind the net. Hyman. Hyman looking to go front hand. Plays it in, and Hildebrand makes another unbelievable save. Martin able to keep it in the zone. However, Wolverines continue to press. Larkin to Hyman, who went high over the net. Took a deflection into the netting. 11:34 left to go in the third period. Face-off to come in the Wolverines' offensive zone.
Great play there by John Drager. He had his stick on the ice, ready to block Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin would have had a clean look. Jake Hildebrand was still sliding across the slot. He would have had a chance to sneak that into the near side. Nonetheless, John Drager was in position, makes a nice play. Also, State collapsing really into their typical defensive shape, giving up a lot of shots from the point, and Michigan's defensemen have been willing to take them. A lot of shots from up top.
Face-off win by the Spartans in their own zone. They'll clear it ahead. Michael Downing taken down in another near disastrous turnover as William Haig keeps the puck in the zone for the green and white. Darnell fired a shot across the crease. Kept in the zone, however, but Travis Lynch skates on to the weak shot fired by Jacobs, and the Wolverines will break the other way. Max Short offsides will have to drop back as Tony Calderon, the one man left out there, he's going to need to get off the ice. He'll get the opportunity to do just that as the Wolverines get a fresh set of legs on the ice. Tyler Mott forcing a turnover. Dexter Danks bringing it back the other way. Wolverines do not have numbers. Doesn't stop Mott from firing a shot. Mott centering attempt into the crease, and he scored! Booty Evans gives the Wolverines that crucial third goal, and the Wolverines take a 3-1 lead.
Absolutely huge goal. As we mentioned just a few minutes earlier, it does not look like the Spartans will gain enough offensive pressure to get 3. That's a huge goal. Puts the Wolverines up 2, and the Spartans are really going to open things up now if they want to get 2 right back.
The children of Yost who have made the trip to the Joe absolutely loving things here as the Wolverines starting to flex their muscle a little bit on the offensive end. Tyler Mott was the one who set up all the golden work, and it was Booney Evans who finished, and Hildebrand who simply was on his side. Not much he could do there. Booney Evans finished it with a nice shot, and the Wolverines get that crucial 3rd goal and now have a 2-goal lead over the Spartans. Wolverines win the draw at center ice following the goal for Booney Evans. 10:30 left to go in the contest in this Big Ten tournament semifinal matchup between the in-state rivals. Michigan with that 3-1 lead. Hyman with the puck. Dumps it back to Selman. Now Larkin giving chase on his future home ice. Hyman. Hyman battling, dangerous behind the net. Center it across, but no one home. Werenski skates onto it, though. Werenski, centering attempt! Is deflected behind the net. Now Dylan Larkin giving chase. Ferrantino is there for the Spartans. And finally, Michigan State gets the puck back, trailing by 2. Wolverines choose to get fresh legs, as do the Spartans. Carson Gatt got upended at center ice. Now he'll skate off. Spartans get fresh legs on, and unable to keep it in the zone was Krieger. Brock Krieger will settle things back down. Played ahead to Matt DeBlau. Matt Berry gains the zone for the Spartans, trying to do it all on his own. Plays it to Mac Akron. Mac Akron upended, and Andrew Kopp gets the turnover ahead to Comfort. Michigan's got a 3-on-2 if they can skate with speed. Comfort fires a shot well wide of the net. It took a deflection. Brennan Serville keeps it in the zone. At the point, fires a high backhand. Glove down. Alex Kyle keeps it. He'll skate back to center ice. Wolverines getting a few sets of fresh legs onto the ice. Kyle will dump it. Hildebrand played it behind his own net. Wolverines will get a change. Tony Calderon providing the forecheck pressure. Spartans needing to start pressing the pace. Trailing. Length of the ice pass dumped. Icing waved off. Downing forced to play it. Ahead to Calderon. Calderon in the direction of Schuart. Now Lynch giving chase. He'll backhand it so the Wolverines can get defensive fresh legs onto the ice. Travis Lynch doing a good job on the forecheck, trying to keep it in the zone, battling on the boards with Brent Darnell, winning that battle. Schuart now. Surrounded by 3 white shirts, and the Spartans will now clear it from their zone. Tyler Mott will dump it right back into the zone. Hildebrand forced to play it behind his own net. Both teams electing to get wholesale changes.
Spartans not with much sense of urgency here. Down 2 goals, only 8 minutes to go. Taking their time, very methodical, getting their offense set up.
Battle along the Michigan State end boards. Justin Homayan trying to keep things in the zone. However, Booney Evans will play it off the boards, and it will go out of play.
And looking back at that goal, when a goaltender is playing as well as Jake Hildebrand is, he has been locked in these last 3 games against Michigan. But you know how you can beat him? You can beat him by putting bodies in front, by getting deflections, and by getting him out of position. That's what Michigan did there. Got him out of position. He was already sprawled. I believe he got knocked over by his own man, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs was retreating into the crease on an earlier play. Took a wild bounce off these Joe Louis Arena boards. Came right back out to Booney Evans, who was able to put it on. Still, the impressive goaltender that he is, Booney Evans wasn't able to elevate it much. And actually, Jake Hildebrand was a little bit off the ice. His right arm was a little bit off the ice. There's still a little bit of slot, a little bit of opportunity for Nieves to slide it in there. You could see that his arm was coming down to the ice level. He got a piece of it, enough to slow it down, but not enough to prevent it from going in. And that gave Michigan the crucial 3rd goal.
And the Wolverines have to feel confident if they're indeed able to hold on. Obviously, 7:40 left to play. Just a 2-goal lead, 3-1 in favor of the Wolverines. But if they can hold on to this one, they've got to like their chances going in tomorrow. It'll be a home atmosphere, certainly for the Wolverines. Certainly not a full house at the Joe tomorrow. but it will be mostly maize and blue in attendance. However, a tough task at hand if they, again, advance onto the finals tomorrow to take on the Golden Gophers, as Michigan will desperately need to win that game to keep their tournament hopes alive, and obviously a win tomorrow would punch their ticket to the NCAA dance.
Yeah, the big dance for hockey, it is essentially be a play-in game tomorrow for whatever two teams end up making it in. Minnesota sitting right on the pairwise cut line, unlikely to make it in without a automatic bid, and Michigan State certainly not to make it in without an automatic bid. If Michigan's able to hold on to a big-time matchup, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, Leo. We've seen much crazier things in hockey. Michigan still needs to play a solid 7:40 to close this one out.
Face-off win for the Spartans in the zone, but they're unable to keep it. Larkin skates onto the puck. Plays it ahead to Selman, and Selman will simply dump it behind the Spartan net. Rhett Holland playing it ahead for Michigan State. Spartan skating right to left. Up onto it is Matt Berry. Berry tried to go by himself across the crease, unable to get the shot off. Now Rhett Holland fires a shot wide of the net. Zach Hyman will skate onto it, the Hobie Baker Award finalist, skating ahead, dumping it in the direction of Andrew Kopp. Kopp will give chase. Wolverines will elect to get a change. Battle along the boards. Kopp lost his edge and is simply lying in the direction of the puck, not making it easy for the Spartans, as the Wolverines content to sit on this 2-goal lead with 6:50 left to go in the third period.
Michigan sticking with their game plan. They continue to attack here despite the 2-goal lead.
Brennan Serval does a good job poking it out of the zone as Thomas Ebbing tried to gain it back for the green and white. Chance of go green and go white raining down from the crowd as the Spartans desperately looking to try to draw even, but they're going to need 2 goals to do just that. Spartans lose it in their offensive zone, and Werenski skates onto it. Werenski, toe drag first, top shelf, he scores! A big goal for the freshman defenseman, and the Wolverines increase their lead. It's now 4-1.
And that will just about do it from Joe Louis Arena. As we mentioned, we've seen some crazy things in hockey, but it would take an absolute miracle for the Spartans to recover from this one. Not known for the offensive firepower. They're getting a lot to bounce back. Michigan looks like they punched their ticket to the Big Ten title game tomorrow at 8 p.m. versus Minnesota.
Gotta correct myself. I got excited seeing it up here. Just saw the 3 on the back of the jersey. It was actually Alex Kyle with the nifty moves. Nonetheless, it's still going to be a goal for the Maize and Blue, and the Wolverines now lead it 4-1. And as you said, that might be the last nail in the coffin for Michigan.
As we mentioned, Michigan continues to attack, and that paid off. State had to take some chances, and there was an odd man rush coming from Michigan the other way, able to capitalize.
Spartans knew they would need Hildebrand's best in order to hang in this game, but even his best wouldn't have been enough tonight, as Michigan has already recorded 46 shots, and we still have 5 minutes and change left to go in the third period. Now Travis Lynch skating ahead. Wolverines looking for more. Schuart giving chase. Hildebrand leaves his own net to clear it himself. Sinelli will play it right back into the zone. Brett Holland skates onto it for the Spartans. Icing waved off. Cutler Martin plays it behind the Wolverines now. Plays it up ahead to Booney Evans, who floats one the length of the ice, where Travis Boyd skates under it for the Spartans. Ron Boyd, excuse me. Shot into the zone. Red Holland thought about Jake Hildebrand thought about covering it up. Instead, he'll play it, but Dexter Danks providing the forecheck for the Wolverines, playing it behind the Spartan net. Tyler Mott upended into the boards. Dangerous play, no call.
Wolverines can't get complacent here. They look like they've slowed down a little bit, taking their foot off the pedal since that 4th goal. They can't afford to do that. Let the Spartans get back in this one.
Goal officially Alex Kyle from Booney Evans to give the Wolverines a 4-1 lead with 4:30 left to go. Zach Hyman skating onto the puck behind the Spartan net. Hyman. Centering attempt. Hyman trying to do it all on his own. Surprisingly, one of the few players who the Spartans have been able to keep quiet so far in this game. And if you would have told me that Hyman wouldn't have been as big an offensive factor as some of these other guys, I would have thought there was no way Michigan would have a 4-1 lead against Jake Hildebrand and the Michigan State Spartans, as both teams fighting for their NCAA tournament lives. Do or die for both sides in this in-state rivalry in Detroit here at Joe Louis Arena. Werenski plays it ahead to Andrew Kopp. Rhett Holland skates onto it for the Spartans. Plays it ahead, Thomas Eben, and he's offsides. William Haig and JT Comfort getting into it after the play behind the Wolverines' net, and frustration perhaps being taken out by the green and white, as certainly they didn't expect their season to come to an end tonight, but neither did the Wolverines, and the Wolverines have just done more to help their cause than Michigan State has. As at the end of the day, there's no one the Spartans can blame for this loss other than themselves, because Michigan's just been dominating on the offensive end. Wolverines closing in on 50 shots, and I don't care how good your goaltender is. If your guy faces 50 shots, you can only expect so much from him.
Yeah, you can't really blame Jake Hildebrand for any of the 4 goals he's given up. Some of those were absolute snipes from the Wolverines players. Absolutely great shots. And as we mentioned on the crucial 3rd goal, Hildebrand had fallen down. Can't really blame him for that one either. He looked like he got ran into by Josh Jacobs. Can't really blame Hildebrand. He had an absolutely stunning performance just to keep the Spartans in that Big Ten title race last week at Yost Ice Arena. So give him credit for that one. But it looks like the Spartans are going to bow out of the Big Ten tournament and their season. Props to Jake Hildebrand and the Spartans on the very excellent season. They exceeded expectations, and it's not quite over yet. Effectively settled now, though, as the Wolverines hold a 4-1 lead.
Media timeout with 3:44 left to go in the 3rd period. Wolverines on top 4-1. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan hockey. Leo Glavin alongside Andrew Hausman. And Andrew, I've got to say, Michigan might be peaking at the right time, as it appears the Wolverines are playing their best hockey since January, early February.
Yeah, really getting the offense going here, Joe Louis. You saw them put up 5 goals against Wisconsin, 4 here tonight, and they still might have a chance to add an empty netter, depending if Michigan State coach Tom Anastos decides to really get tricky here and go all out for it, try and get back in this game. I don't think that's likely, but great offensive output. These are the offensive outputs we saw Michigan put up in that hot streak when they won something of the likes of 7 in a row after that GLI victory right here at Joe Louis Arena with a 2-run victory over State, adding some icing on the cake here with a Big Ten semifinal win.
Yeah, with the win tonight, Wolverines will improve to 4-1 on the year at the Joe.
Cheers of hail to the victors ringing out among the Wolverines faithful here.
Yeah, they certainly have to be happy with the performance they've had from the boys in maize and blue tonight. Alex Kyle skating with the puck near center ice. Michigan's biggest concern now has to be making sure guys are healthy, as we saw that roughing penalty on both sides, sending William Haig and JT Comfort to the box, each to sit 2 minutes. The official calls 2 minutes for holding and cross-checking, respectively. So 4-on-4 hockey for the next 2 minutes and change.
And that's something you can really only help the Spartans here. 4-on-4 tends to favor offense, more opportunities, and the Spartans will desperately need a goal in this next minute, next 54 seconds, try and just draw within 2.
2 minutes, 30 seconds. We'll keep an eye at the opposite end of the ice to see just if Jake Hildebrand leaves his own net. You'd expect him to, at least for 1 goal, simply because Spartans have nothing really to lose at this point. Their season comes to an end. If they can't somehow pull out a miraculous comeback, they're going to need 3 goals to do it, though, with 2.5 minutes left to play here in the 3rd period on WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan hockey. Face-off at center ice, won by the Wolverine. Spartans get the puck back, and they'll start to bring the pressure. DeBlau and Darnell and Barry for this 4-on-4, and a delayed penalty coming up in favor of the Michigan State Spartans, as Dylan Larkin getting tied up. And now it's getting really physical and really chippy. Rhett Holland getting in on the action. Brennan Serval's not going to take any of that, as Spartans starting to let out their frustration more and more. It'll be Matt Barry going to the sin bin. as Barry the senior will end his college hockey career sitting in the penalty box.
Yeah, not somewhere you want to end it. He'll get 7 more seconds of action after that, but that will effectively do it. You're not going to come back from a 3-goal deficit in 2 minutes, especially when you have a few players in the box. It looks like another Michigan player is in the box as well. That looks like Kevin Lohan down there. Referee's still trying to get sorted out with the captains, Kopp and Ferrantino.
I think at this point, the referees are just saying, we don't want this thing to get out of hand. The last thing you want to see is a player get hurt in this scenario where the game at this point effectively over. The last thing either side wants is a player to commit a stupid penalty that injures someone or makes them look bad. So certainly they're just trying to minimize any sort of riffraff in stoppages of play by sitting as many guys as they can.
And we'll take this time they're getting all sorted out to, I'm going to give a shout out to Boo Nieves. He was called out on the Daily Sports Report. That's a show you can listen to Monday through Thursday, 6 to 6:30 p.m. on WCVN FM Ann Arbor.
88.3 on the dot.
And he was called out by our panelists this week, especially in the Big Ten Hockey Preview. That was on Thursday. Called out as a player that needs to step up, and that's what he's done with a goal and a big assist on the 2 big third-period goals that gave Michigan 2 insurance goals to add on to that 2-1 lead.
And we want to remind you that at 8 p.m. tomorrow, assuming this result holds, you can listen to this broadcast, same place tomorrow, 8 p.m. start between Michigan and Minnesota for a right to dance in the NCAA tournament. In the meantime, Selman skates onto the puck. 4-on-4 hockey will remain. Teams return to full strength. 1:35 left to go in the game. Michigan on top 4-1 over the Spartans.
And offsetting penalties on Kevin Lohan and Matthew Barry, both for slashing, and they will sit out the end of this game in the penalty box.
Wolverines certainly have to be pleased with the result tonight. They needed a win, and they're going to get just that here in the D. Puck battled along in the neutral zone. Mott was offside, so the Wolverines will have to retreat. 1 minute officially left to play in this Big Ten tournament semifinal matchup between the Spartans and the Wolverines, with the Wolverines on top 4-1. Spartans unable to get it in the attacking zone, so Hildebrand hasn't had an opportunity to leave the net just yet. It doesn't look like he will do so. Nieves gets the puck back. Dexter Danks. Danks will skate to center ice and dump it. Wolverines will settle for a line change. 30 seconds left to go.
Wolverines looking to hit that big 5-0 in terms of shots on goal. They're sitting at 49 right here.
20 seconds left to go. The Maize and Blue faithful who've made the trip to the Joe start to stand on their feet and applaud the effort from their boys who are going to come away victorious. Spartans with it in the zone, firing a wrister, gloved by Racine. One last save for Good Major with 8.3 seconds left to go. And the Wolverines on top 4-1.
Steve Racine relaxing just a little bit, caught a little bit out of position, but his glove saved him there. A lot of times he wouldn't even be in that position. He was leaning a little bit towards the center of the goal when at that tough angle below the dot. He really should have been able to square up to the post and not give that much opportunity unless he got his glove on it and was able to get one last final save.
Chance of Go Blue raining down here at the Joe. And the classy move is Steve Racine's going to be taken out of the net so that they can let the redshirt senior Luke Dwyer, a practice team goaltender effectively, will finish out this game for the last 8.3 seconds of action.
Always a classy gesture there. He was picked up by Red Barrington when he was playing a rec league game in the summer after his freshman year. He's come in and worked hard. He hasn't got a lot of playing time, but he's been a valuable member of this squad, really working hard in practice, pushing the first and second string goalies, and a great leader on this squad. Michigan will miss him, and this is perhaps his last action of his career.
And what more can you say about Steve Racine? Second straight game where he's been exactly what Michigan needs. He'll face off against Minnesota tomorrow as the Wolverines win this one 4-1 over the Michigan State Spartans as they advance to their first ever Big Ten tournament final in program history with a berth in the NCAA tournament on the line tomorrow night. Andrew, your final thoughts on tonight's victory for the Wolverines?
Well, an absolutely dominating performance by the Wolverines. Their offense needs to wake up, and that's what it's done this weekend, putting up 5 against Wisconsin, putting up 4 against a great goaltender in Jake Hildebrand and a great defensive team in the Michigan State Spartans, as it has been in all the matchups between these two teams this season. The team that scored first won. Michigan got out to that early lead. Though the Spartans did tie it up, Michigan answered back fairly quickly. That was big. Michigan carried a 2-1 lead into the third period, and when State needed to take some chances, Michigan was able to strike on the counterattack and get those insurance goals to really finish this one off.
So we will see you tomorrow night from the Joe. On behalf of Eli Sherman, Andrew Hausman, I'm Leo Blave. In the final again, Michigan 4, Michigan State 1 as the Wolverines advance to the Big Ten tournament. Final tomorrow night. Thank you for listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan hockey. Good night and go blue.